Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to take you inside the Central Naval Museum here in St. Petersburg. If you love history, ships, or just want to see something truly unique, this place is definitely worth your time. Now let me clear up something right away. Many people still think the museum is inside the old stock exchange building on Vasilyevsky Island. And yes, it used to be there for many years, but in 2013 the entire collection was moved to a new location, the former Kryukov Naval Barracks on Truda Square. The building was beautifully restored and now provides much more space for exhibitions. And honestly, it makes sense. The collection is so huge that the old building just wasn't practical anymore, and the new space feels much more like a proper museum. Let me explain how to get here in case you ever plan a visit. The nearest metro station is Admiralteyskaya, which is right in the city center. From here you can either walk for about 15 minutes or you can just hop on a trolley bus, number 5 or 22, and they will drop you off almost at the entrance, and the stop called Ploshchad Truda, which translates as Labor Square. The entrance itself is on the embankment of the Kryukov Canal, which is actually quite a nice area to walk around. Tickets are quite affordable. We paid 600 rubles each. Also, some discounts for students, children and senior are available. You can also find combined tickets if you are visiting other branches of the museum. Photography and video recordings are allowed, which is great if you want to take photos or, like me, film your experience. Just remember, no flash. The museum is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but the tickets office closes earlier at around 5:15. And don't forget, it's closed on Tuesdays. Before you even get into the main halls, there are some incredible exhibits that immediately set the tone. For example, this replica of the very first Russian wooden submarine, designed in 1720 by Efim Nikonov. It was presented to Peter the Great as an experimental way to travel underwater. Imagine that, more than 300 years ago, people were already dreaming of submarines. Of course, the original didn't survive, and it never became a real naval weapon, but this replica shows how ambitious those early days ideas were. Standing in front of it, you can't help it but think, would I actually want to go underwater in this thing? Personally, no thank you. And the statue to Peter the Great. All of Russian fleet. Oh, look at this chair. How cool. So this jacket was belonged to Peter the Great, the only one of 3 jackets that left and presented in this naval museum. The Central Naval Museum is one of the oldest and largest naval museums in the world. It was founded in 1709 by Peter the Great, originally inside the Admiralty building, then later moved to Stock Exchange, and since 2013 it's been here in its current location. The collection includes more than 700,000 items, and no, you cannot see them all in one visit, but even a fraction is enough to keep you busy for hours. Some of the highlights include ship models, thousands of them, from delicate miniatures to huge, detailed reconstructions. They cover everything from 18th century sailing ships to modern submarines. The craftsmanship is mind-blowing. Now here's something really old. Let's check this out. Here is a boat made from a single tree trunk. It was discovered in 1937 and it's over 800 years old. So this boat is called a grandfather of Russian fleet, and it was belonged to Peter the Great, originally built in 1640s. It's about 6 meters long and 1.8 meters wide and weight 1,280 kilos. This boat was discovered by Peter the Great in 1688 when he was only 16 years old near the Moscow. So, and it was restored and presented in this museum. Look at this art. All original paintings as well. In fact, this is very famous maritime artist Ivan Aivazovsky. The painting was created in 1836. Back in the day, every frigate had a figurehead, often in the form of mythical creature, an animal or even a person. They were meant to show power, scare enemies and give the ship its own character. On old maps of the 12th century, Black Sea used to be Russian Sea. I'm going upstairs now. Another highlight of the exhibition is naval banners and flags, many of which actually went into battles. You can feel the weight of history standing before them. Beautiful. Oh, that's very Napoleonic hat. Triangle. The monument of famous maritime artist Bogolyubov. That's beautiful, presented old photos. So all these photos from Sevastopol, which is in Crimea. More artillery, cannons, a model of another ship. Double-headed eagle. And that looks like a submarine. Let's see. Here we can see a submarine designed by Stepan Jivensky, a Russian engineer and inventor. His first submarine appeared in the late 19th century in 1877. It was a small hand-powered craft, operated by just one or two people using pedals, almost like a bicycle underwater. This painting was created by Ayvazovsky. Mine Attack, it's called. And that one by Ayvazovsky as well. This painting was created in 1900, painted in oil, and artist called Bakst. Carnival on the street of Paris to commemorate the arrival of a Russian fleet in 5th of October 1893. How beautiful. Here we can see something a little different, a display of submarine telegraph cables. They were manufactured in London by the Telegraph Construction and Maintenance Company. Starting in the 19th century, undersea cables like this connected continents and allowed people to send messages across oceans almost instantly, something that before had taken weeks by ships. It's fascinating to realize that these cables were laid along the seabed and carried the very first international communications. In a way, this was the internet of its time. Only instead of Wi-Fi, you had copper wires running thousands of kilometers under the ocean. And here's the fun fact. By the late 19th century, Russia itself was connected by submarine cables, not only with Europe, but even with America. So when we talk about global communication today, it's all really began with cables just like the ones you see in this case. A model of a steam machine with triple expansion. This actually made in 1900s in Britain. It's to pump water. And what's made in France. Look at those boots. Made in Britain. This one also made in Britain. The original ship was built in 1896 in Newcastle. That's the name of the company. And it's called Kherson. This is the warship, was built in 1902 in Germany. Kiel. This is mine. As we moved farther through the museum, we came across a huge variety of exhibits. There were weapons and uniforms. They gave us a real sense of how naval technology and even military fashion evolved over the centuries. We also saw navigation instruments and old maps, which were fascinating. It really makes you wonder how sailors managed to cross entire oceans long before modern technology like GPS existed. And then, of course, there was maritime art and paintings, dramatic battle scenes, portraits of admirals, and breathtaking seascapes created by some of the most talented artists of their time. Altogether, these displays truly bring history to life and help us imagine what it was like to serve at sea in different eras. The layout of the museum makes it easy to follow the history. You basically walk through the time from Peter the Great's reforms, through the glory of the Imperial Navy, into the Soviet era, and finally up to the present day. Each hall feels like a different chapter with its own atmosphere.
So the continue of exhibition is dedicated to Great Patriotic War, Second World War.
What struck me the most was how immersive the experience feels. You don't just look at objects in glass cases, you walk through history. From the little wooden submarine at the start to a powerful naval artifacts later on. Everything tells part of the bigger story. Even if you are not a naval history fan, the museum is visually impressive. The models, the flags, the artwork, they are worth seeing just for the craftsmanship alone.
Wow, all these flags.
And here we come to the one of the most iconic weapons of the World War II, the Katyusha rocket launcher. This multiply rocket system was first used by the Soviet Army in 1941.
This is a model of light cruiser Ajax, the Royal Navy of Great Britain. We just been there a few days ago, Red Square. On TV is a first parade on Red Square in 1945. Do you recognize those faces?
Now here is a fascinating bit of history. This VK-1 engine might look fully Soviet, but its story actually starts in Britain. After World War II, the Soviet Union was lagging behind in jet technology. In 1946, the British government surprisingly agreed to sell several Rolls-Royce Nene engines to the Soviet Union. Engineers in Moscow carefully studied it, and then the first copy was called the RD-45, and soon after they improved it into this the VK-1. It was this engine that powered the MiG-15 firejet.
How very well painted, absolutely beautiful this art. Yes. As an art lover and painter myself, I really appreciate the art that is displayed in this museum. Absolutely stunning.
И текст я сфотографирую.
Спасибо большое. Извините за беспокойство.
On October the 10th, 1944, Soviet sailors from the Northern Fleet attacked German positions on Musta-Tunturi Ridge in northern Finland. The ridge was strongly defended with bunkers, trenches and machine guns. Despite the cold and difficult terrain, the naval infantry bravely advanced and captured the German positions. Their success helped push the Germans back and weakened their defense in the Arctic region. This operation showed a courage and determination of the Soviet sailors who overcome tough conditions and strong enemy fortifications to achieve their goal.
Here's the anthem of Soviet Union, the one I still remember. If you will wake me up, remember every single word.
Честно.
That's the seat.
Here is the I-16. It was a Soviet fighter plane from the 1930s. It was one of the first planes with a low wing. It fought in the Spanish Civil War and the early part of World War II. The I-16 was very fast and very maneuverable, but not easy to fly. But even with its challenges, the I-16 helped train pilots and was an important step in the development of Soviet aircraft. This is the periscope PA-9, designed to let the crew observe the surface while staying hidden underwater. This is crucial for both safety and completing mission without being detected. The periscope is essentially a long vertical tube with mirrors or prisms inside, which send the image from the surface down to the control room. Modern versions may include advanced optical or electronic systems for clearer image and more functionality. So this is the end of the exhibition, and when you are done, you're in a great location for sightseeing. The museum is just a short walk from St. Isaac's Cathedral, the Admiralty and the Neva embankment, so you can easily make a whole day of exploring this part of the city. So if you are planning a visit to St. Petersburg, I highly recommend adding the Central Naval Museum to your list. Give yourself at least 2 hours to explore, but honestly, if you are like me and love stopping at every little detail, you could easily spend half a day here. The Central Naval Museum could easily become one of the highlights of your trip to St. Petersburg, and it will definitely give you a much deeper understanding of the city's connection with the sea and the important role the Navy has played in shaping Russian history. Thanks for joining me on this tour. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit like button and subscribe. Until next time, bye for now.